Marker?
There's something nice about the fact that this is based on a true story about a bunch of kids playing football in a more innocent time for the sport.
They helped this town, the city of Alexandria, to come together. A lot of people were bent out of shape. They had to take these 3 different high schools that were predominantly segregated high schools and combine them into one school. The fact of the matter is, Boone was capable.
The climate was tense.
The black people lived down in the Berg, and the white people lived up on Seminary Ridge.
Greg's script came into the office. I read it and said, this is a terrific story, and here we are today actually filming it.
Stand by, set, and roll sound. Sounds big.
He's got a job that he considers the best job in the world, and suddenly it all falls apart.
City passing over a great coach, a coach who'd won the city championship, added to the strife in the community.
Something needs to happen at this point in this town, and oddly enough, this football becomes a metaphor for it happening.
Listen, Coach, with the schools integrating and all, some of the guys are worried about losing their starting positions.
Yeah, but you don't
He's a leader in a lot of ways. People kind of just look to him, and he takes on this responsibility.
I'm Julius Campbell, and Julius Campbell is a counterpart to Bertier. They just didn't like each other. So whether or not they respected each other's talent or not would go unseen.
I know that I'm a good football player. I'm kind of being shopped around, being recruited to play on the best team.
It was definitely a feat on Herman Boone's part to get them to feel like they were part of the same team.
How can I help you boys? I'm Gary Bertier, the only All-American you got on this team.
At that point in the early 70s, he arguably was the greatest player in the history of Virginia high school football.
If you want any of us to play for you, you reserve half the open positions for Hammond players.
Coach Boone came into this very volatile situation like a bull in a china shop.
I think when you take a group and you separate them and give them a purpose and understand it's about winning, I think that they will respond, especially young people.
That was a key moment for Yost to suddenly be there amongst those graves at Gettysburg. And I think he begins to realize Boone's behaving with an honor and a dignity that's kind of surprising, and he's getting something done.
That's Bertier.
Right.
That's Petey.
Until I came out of service, I wanted to be a minister. And I got looking around, I thought, gee, if I'm in church, if I'm a preacher, I can only reach the kids that come to me at church. And I knew how much I looked up to my coaches. And I thought, well, maybe I can do that. So I wanted to be a coach because I'd get a chance to work with kids like that.
This kid here is a poor ghetto project kid.
Right.
Brilliant.
Right.
Well, but we can't use him, Coach. We can't have it.
Right.
So they came, you remember? They came back and said, come on, man. I said, no, you cannot have Earl unless you take this boy here.
Right.
I don't care what kind of money you give him, what kind of scholarship you give him. You are going to take this kid here. You know who this kid is today? He's almost director of Pfizer Pharmaceutical Company.
No kidding.
Steve Giles went to Princeton. Let's see, the center ended up going to Michigan, and he was a concert-level cellist. Dan Carl and Jerry Buck went to the Naval Academy, and then I went to West Point.
All of these kids are highly professional. They're just super.
Coach Boone is about you do it till you get it right.
He and Coach Yost, I think, fundamentally are teachers, but their style was a bit different.
Coach Boone was more of a hard-nosed, hands-on type guy. He wanted everything to perfection.
Coach Yost, on the other hand, was willing to sit down and talk with the guys, try to really explain to them how to bring the best out in them.
I think many of those kids were better off because of our two philosophies.
You're funny, you know that?
I first turned it down because here I was accepting a job based on the color of my skin when I was just refused one based on the color of my skin, and I'm just not that type of person. And of course, a lot of my good friends now in the community came to my home and convinced me to carry the banner. I finally agreed to carry the banner, and so look at old Duke now. Our goal line scrimmages right here were tough. I mean, we had the #1 defensive team in the area, the #1 offensive team in the area. That's one of the few times I would see him upset when a touchdown was run on the defense. And of course, I would get tremendously upset if one were not.
Well, I mean, it's a movie.
It's a movie, so don't get excited.
Because his first snap.
They don't want no time and Bill. They wanted 3/4 speed.
I know, but
I like to think that we played a role in calming the situation down to the extent that people, instead of fighting each other, began talking to each other. And for that particular reason, I feel that I played a role in that.
I remember a bunch of young men with different backgrounds coming together and working very hard to achieve a goal, winning the state championship.
It's the actual guy, man. It's odd how we look alike, isn't it?
That was a great night for them. I mean, about 50 or 40 of the guys came down, and there was still as much love here 30 years later, you know, between them and for their coaches.
Oh, boy, this is better than the movie.
The movie is about the kids. We move with them and root for them because of the journey they take.
Hopefully there's something in it that can make us think about right now.
The film shows that if you give them a chance to share things together and do things together, live together, people can become almost a family.
Out of all of the stories in this world that possibly could have been told, you guys picked this particular one. It is a fantastic story.
And remember the Titans, we always wanted Denzel. He was our first choice, he was our last choice. He's as good as they get. And this character, he was perfect for it. He really wasn't sure he wanted to play another true life character because he just finished playing one in Hurricane. But when he met the real Herman Boone, he realized how he could play the part and what he could add to it.
I was impressed with Coach Boone as a man, as a former coach, and as a father when I went to visit them at their home. Where's your dad?
Denzel called my house. I said, hey, man, why don't you find somebody else to talk to? He said, no, I'm really Denzel. I said, sure you are, you know.
Water makes you weak. Water is for washing blood off that uniform, and you don't get no blood on my uniform. Boy, you must be outside your mind.
So I listened very intently, and it sounded like Denzel. I said, okay, well, you know, you can come on over.
Well, Herman would be the first to tell you he's a dictator. He said that when he dies, he has it in his will that the last day he's on this earth, in the casket, that they play Frank Sinatra's My Way the entire day. So that's how he coaches. That's who he is. It's going to be done his way.
I'm a screamer, I'm a hugger, I'm a kick you in the butt type of guy. Whatever Vince Lombardi was, you can triple that. Straight ahead and mean as
anything.
Like you're going, meaner than a junkyard dog, huh?
That other team is out there, they're tired. Fourth quarter.
I wrote this with Denzel in mind because Herman has to be a bastard, but he's got to be a lovable bastard. So there's a very fine line. And Denzel is always likable in all his movies. And no matter how bad the character is he might be playing, people like him. So he can get away with more. He can get away with screaming at a player.
Give me the football. What is wrong with you? Why are you fumbling my football?
My blockers were
Your blockers ain't got nothing to do with you holding the ball.
Well, having spent time with Herman and seeing how he operates, I just knew from the time I hit the field I had to take charge.
You got to do it. Blow your whistle.
All right, sir, I'm ready. I'm ready. Oh, I hope y'all ready. I hope y'all ready to work. I'm looking for some men out here.
I said, I'm not going to let them see me scratching my head, acting like I don't know what I'm doing, even if I am scratching my head and not knowing what I'm doing, but I'll at least act like I'm in charge. And they seem to respond to that. And I enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I enjoy sort of getting the troops together and inspiring them and getting them energized.
Denzel's the consummate professional. He creates his own reality around him. So if you're in a scene with a bunch of extras, Denzel will make sure that everybody around him is providing an atmosphere that feels real and exciting.
The actors really wanted to try to become football players, you know, and there were some guys out of Auburn and Tennessee and Alabama and some ex-pros. And for me, it was like taking over the Cowboys and being the coach for a couple of days and knowing you're going to win no matter what. So it was just fun for me.
Are we ever going to quit?
No! We want some more! We want some more! We want some more!
You know, I played in high school and college, so I know a little bit about it. And then when I had kids, I started coaching from the time my son turned 5 until the other day. Actually, he's still almost 16, but I'm still coaching a little bit. So it really wasn't a stretch for me.
Let's go.
But off the football field, my wife says, and my kids say I'm a teddy bear. And when nobody's looking, I might even kiss you in the forehead. As a matter of fact, I tried to kiss a kid in the forehead one time, and he lowered his head and knocked my tooth out.
He had so many sons, you know, in a sense, out there on the football field. And he really loves them. And he may have been tough on them and crazy and all of that, but it was out of love. I could see right away he's a real family man. And one of his daughters just happened to be coming in from Detroit the day I was there. You know, but it was sweet. They loved their father dearly. And that's what I saw. And I could see the love in his wife's eyes, and I could see the love in his eyes for her.
Denzel becomes the character. I mean, he assumes who that person is once he creates him. He had some help on this one because it's a real individual. But, you know, Denzel worked very hard on the script and spent a lot of time, weeks on end, going through it, embellishing it, making it better, lifting things he felt the character wasn't going to do.
Let's go, let's go, let's go!
He brought so much other than just his acting, which you expect him to bring. He brought his story sense and his character sense and really helped us develop the screenplay into what it turned out to be. That's interesting. The acid test always is what the real person thinks after he sees the movie.
I just witnessed a scene down there that happened, and I just had flashbacks, and tears almost came to my eyes. So it's an authentic film. What did I do that deserves the greatest actor in the world to play my name, to play my life? I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and I'm proud to have been there. It's an experience that I'll never forget, and the world won't ever let me forget.
Denzel's getting great accolades for his acting in this particular movie. That thrills me more than anything else. Greg Howard, who grew up in Alexandria, was sitting in a barbershop one day, and he was listening to the barbers and some of the patrons talk about this football team, the Titans. And Greg said, well, if they're such a great team, when can I go see them? And the barber started laughing, and he said, they played back in 1971. And Greg said, well, if you're still talking about them, it's almost 30 years later, I got to find out about this team.
That led me to Coach Boone and Coach Yost, and I told them Hollywood only does one of these movies a year. I don't mean one per studio, I mean one per the industry. So I said, if we are very fortunate, this might be that one.
I don't care if you're orange, red, black, white, or blue. Let's go right now. Defense this side, offense that side.
You know, and I wrote the script. And then my agent said, if they don't buy this, then we're in the wrong business. And we sent it out and it tanked. Some studios pass 3 times. And they really don't like you to bring it back because it's like insulting to them. It's like, you think we didn't read it? You think we don't know what we want? And I was trying to screw up the courage to call the coaches and just say, it's not going to work. It's just nobody wants it. They're just not interested in an inspirational story this year. And we got a call from Jerry Bruckheimer's company. Could we take a look at it? Please take a look at it. I was praying. My sister lit candles.
I read it over a weekend and it just moved me. It was about something, it was a real event. It's a story that kids should see, that people should see. And I think it's a message of triumph, of people communicating to one another and coming out winners. And that's the kind of movies I like to see. And as successful as I have been, everybody passed on it. You know, it's painful to get the phone calls because you want everybody to love the things you send into them, but you know it's not a reality. They're not going to love everything. All it takes is one person to like something, and then you're off to the races.
When Jerry sent it to me, my first response when reading it was, oh my God, the emotion of it, the humor and the sort of drama of it all was very, very attractive to me. And I was overwhelmed by what it was and how important it was that Disney be involved in this project.
Peter, you know, fell in love with it also, and then he said, let's go make it. At the time, Denzel was already attached to the project. And then Boaz came in and did some brilliant work and kind of focused the screenplay and embellished the characters quite a bit and created something that he felt very comfortable directing.
It's not about bad football players learning to be good football players. It's about good football players learning how to overcome their hatred and function as a team and as a unit.
And he's got a very different mindset. It's not a slick Hollywood product that he puts out. He puts out something that's very real, and that's what we wanted. The budget was around $27 million, and the budget norms for Hollywood are well into the high 50s, if not higher. It's not a big movie. It's a small movie. Most of it's done in a school or on a field, so it didn't have to be very expensive. The money we spent were on the actors. Unfortunately, they chipped in. They all had to take pay cuts, including myself, even though I'm not an actor. Denzel did also to get the movie made. So they had financial interests in the movie also. So that makes it special. I think everybody working on the picture was thrilled to be there because they knew they were going to be proud of the movie, whether it was going to be a commercial success or not.
What's fantastic about it is how these young kids, black and white, came together as a team and how they helped this high school to come together and the city to come together.
That is the unique feature about it. That although it is a sports movie, it's a feel-good movie, it's in the tradition of what Disney does great, which is tell really uplifting stories. The backdrop is 1971, race relationships in America, and the powder keg that was set off by the Civil Rights Movement.
And I think if America sees this movie, maybe now the paradigm will change after 400 years and we won't be trying to do this false crap about let's love each other, because it's never going to happen, ever. But let's learn about each other, our differences, respect our differences, and respect each other.
The fact that it's achieved the success that it has, being the underdog that it was, that nobody wanted to make it, that thrills me. The box office is always a shock, no matter what happens. If they fail, it's a shock, and if they're big hits, it's a shock. And this one, fortunately for everybody, turned out to be a picture that captured the hearts and souls and minds of America.